Let us now study the band structure of electrons in a two-dimensional lattice. So we had just seen the expression in 3 dimensions. If I just use that for 2 dimensions, the area 2 pi by L the whole squared would permit one allowed value of k. Now I consider the area pi kf squared. So kf is basically the wave vector corresponding to the energy EF. The energy EF is also called the Fermi level, and the Fermi level represents the highest energy level that is occupied by an electron at t equal to 0. At t equal to 0, all the levels below E equal to EF will be completely filled with electrons. So if I consider this area pi kf squared, then that's basically the Fermi circle in 2 dimensions, and that Fermi circle will be completely filled with electrons at t equal to 0. So I can use this area to find out the total number of electrons. So for that area pi kf squared, the allowed values of k would be that. I also must recognize that every value of kf can accommodate 2 electrons, one upspin and one downspin. So I multiply it by 2 to account for the degeneracy, and this gives me the total number of electrons, and the total number of electrons can be written as the number of lattice sites into the number of electrons per site, or I can say the number of lattice sites into the number of electrons per primitive cell, because one primitive cell will contain one Bravais lattice site. So I can designate the number of electrons per site as Z, and I can write the total number of electrons like this, and I can rewrite this to get nz by L squared, and that will be the number of electrons per unit area, which I designate as small n, just as in 3 dimensions. So in 2 dimensions, the Fermi radius kf would be square root of 2 pi n, and I can also write n as the number of electrons per unit cell divided by the area of the unit cell. I just consider a square of length a, and that will be just z by a squared, and I can now rewrite the Fermi radius as this, and in terms on usually written as kf a by pi, and that gives me just this number. So the most important point here is the length of the Fermi radius depends on the number of electrons available per primitive cell. So if I have z equal to 1, that's 1 electron per primitive cell, Fermi radius will be something. If I double z becomes 2 electrons per primitive cell, then you have a much bigger Fermi radius, and so on. So what happens as the Fermi radius becomes bigger and bigger is something that we will presently study. So to do that, we will have to draw the Brillouin zones. So this is a reciprocal lattice, and so I just choose some point as the origin, and I draw vectors to near neighbors. So G1 represents the vector to the nearest neighbor, and I draw that, and I draw a perpendicular bisector. So similarly, I draw vectors to the nearest neighbors here, here, and here, and I draw perpendicular bisectors. The area bounded by the perpendicular bisectors is the region 1 given here, and that's the first Brillouin zone. Then I draw vector G2 to the next nearest neighbor, and then I draw the perpendicular bisectors to the for all those vectors, and the area bounded by that is given by the region 2 here. Then I draw G3 would be the next nearest neighbor, and again I draw the a perpendicular bisector, and that region is given by 3. So the first Brillouin zone is 1, second Brillouin zone 2, and the third Brillouin zone. So we are going to draw, this is in K space, remember, and we are going to draw the Fermi circle on top of this, and we are also going to do this in the case of free electrons. That is, this is an empty lattice approximation. That is, the electrons behave like the electrons behave like the block electrons. That is, they have the properties of the block wave function, but the potential is 0. We will then turn on the potential later and see how it changes. So I just said that the Fermi sphere depends on the number of electrons available per primitive cell. So suppose the Fermi sphere has some radius as given by this. This is just an arbitrary picture as an illustration. So here we have this square is the first Brillouin zone, then you have the second Brillouin zone, the third Brillouin zone. So now I have this, and you can reduce the information given in the second Brillouin zone and put it inside the first Brillouin zone. That's called the reduced zone scheme. So to do that, you have this labels here for following it easily. You have this section 2A, 2B, 2C and 2D. So if I want to reduce this, I must shift it inside by a reciprocal lattice vector. So this section 2A will be shifted inside and it will go here. This section 2C will be shifted inside by reciprocal lattice vector and it will be shifted inside here. And 2B will come down and 2D will go up, and that's called folding. It's not literal folding, but it's folding using the reciprocal lattice vector. So you are pushing it inside the first Brillouin zone. That's called the reduced zone representation, so that you can view it everything inside the first zone itself. Similarly, I have this section 3B and I want to reduce it inside the first zone. So 3B will be shifted here, 3A will be shifted here. Similarly, I have other sections of the third Brillouin zone will be shifted, and you will have this kind of a picture here. So that's called reduction to the first Brillouin zone. So now I have this. Now let's actually reduce the Fermi sphere itself. So I have this Fermi sphere which overlaps the first zone, the second zone, and small parts in the third zone. Then there is a small section here in the fourth zone that's not shown here. We'll not worry about that. So the first zone, you can see it's completely filled. There's nothing to do here. We just saw that all the bands in the first zone, they'll be completely filled. That means they will not participate in electrical conduction or any kind of electronic property. We don't need to worry about it. Then you have this section here in 2A, 2B, 2C and 2D. If I shift them inside the first zone, then that section will result in this kind of a Fermi surface, of course in 2 dimension, and also this is for free electrons. Then if then there is a small section here in the third zone. If I shift that into the first zone, I get this kind of a surface. You get all sort of fancy structures when you do that kind of a reduced zone representation. So now let's understand this in a slightly better way, in a more formal way. So now to appreciate this, there is this website. I'm going to use the pictures from this website. This is actually a simulation tool where you can gradually increase the radius of the Fermi surface, that is a Fermi circle, in 2 dimensions, and see how it overlaps different Brillouin zones and so on. So we now have 4 Brillouin zones here. The blue is the first zone. The pink is the second zone, the green is the third zone, and the yellow is the fourth zone. And we're going to use this expression for the Fermi radius, which we just found. I will leave the link in the course page. You can explore changing it there. So now we're going to consider the simplest situation: 1 electron per unit cell, or 1 electron per lattice site, and therefore Z in this expression will be 1. And this